Welcome back to the Den. We got 26 teams to talk about today for Week 12, previewing the NFL week and your fantasy week. Your fate may be determined at this point. You probably know if you're in the playoffs or you're not, or maybe you're 3-8 and like me in one of my leagues, and we're trying to really make a push here. We're hoping we can win out and sneak in as like an 8 seed. But whatever your situation is, hopefully you get some insight out of today's show. Evan, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I'm not feeling too bad. Brutal week, but we're getting into it. We're doing stuff that we love, and I'm looking forward to talking about this and getting into the week.
It's great. Yeah. And no crickets talking about these teams.
Yeah, no unwanted additional listeners.
Exactly. The additional listener to my right is, smashed on the way down. All right. You know who crushes their opponents like spider crickets? It is this Texans defense. Up tonight, Texans at Bills. Quite the matchup. I'm still in shambles from going against Josh Allen last week. But just on an absolute heater. But this Texans defense has like shut down everyone. So I think we have a pretty fun matchup here on Thursday. These Thursday matchups, as we know, they're usually kind of wonky and they don't always go the way you expect. We get Davis Mills making his third start tonight. And this Bills run defense is just absolutely atrocious. Sean Tucker's also just the best running back, and I'm glad that he is on people's radars now. But, allowing a 3 touchdown game to him this past week, my guy. But how do you think the Texans are going to fare in this one? Do you think this is going to be a Bills blowout? Because I think you could argue the Bills are a much better team, but just the way this Texans defense is playing, I could actually see it giving a headache to the Bills here, who are going to be benching Keon Coleman in his second straight game. So what's going on here?
I could definitely see it being a frustrating game, at least for tonight, for Josh Allen. It'll be a tough game script for him. I think this defense, I think, will put him in a position where he's going to have to make a lot of those extended plays that we see him kind of producing over the course of these last couple games and just having insane runs. But no, I think this will kind of be like a pretty true test. Like, this will be very reminiscent of like a defense that you would see like late playoffs, I would argue. And I think this will be like the true one. Like, if he can put up good, decent numbers against this Texans team, which I could very well see that if that offense isn't able to stay on, it could end up getting away from the Texans easily. But no, I think it'll be pretty reasonable. I think you're probably going to see the Bills maybe put up a little more than 30 points, maybe a little bit under. That's what I'm kind of targeting for. I think the Texans have, a long run at least here. I'm kind of favoring Woody Marks, at least after seeing how Sean Tucker was able to kind of go off in this previous week. I think a lot of that was probably contributed to like game script and just kind of how a lot of the play freed up with them taking that lead. But we'll see. It should be fun.
Absolutely. I'm actually of a bit of an opposite belief. So we'll have to check back on this one. I kind of think this is a trap game for Woody Marks. And this might just be more gut than any analysis. It's because I have him in so many leagues. I'm like, everyone's talking about this breakout week against this defense. I'm like, it's going to be 20 carries for, 2 yards a carry and 4 fantasy points. We'll see. But I don't want to put that out there. So no.
Bad vibes. Don't start him. I'm starting him this week. So please don't.
But in terms of the actual analysis, though, I think this clearly is the Woody backfield now, the second week in a row where he's just absolutely dominating the work. Nick Chubb's just barely involved at this point. And what's interesting about Woody, though, is just such a prolific pass catcher coming into the league, which was where I thought, his bread and butter would kind of be as a fantasy player. And he actually has not been that involved in the receiving game. So part of me does hope the Bills can take a lead here for fantasy purposes, just so that we can actually see what Woody Marks can do as a receiver. Cause I think that'd be just really exciting to watch on this Thursday night. Not the most efficient week this past week for Woody on the ground. But that's what happens when you don't have the best offensive line play all the time. Like I think, I have a lot of friends that I talk to too, that will kind of just like look in Sleeper app. You go to like their game log and you're looking at for those yards per carry to be green. But to me, yards per carry is like really an offensive line stat in a lot of ways. Something that's similar with Henderson is you look at his yards per carry and they can be pretty rough, but then you see that he has more yards rushing after contact than total rushing yards. So he's doing all of the work. He's just getting hit in the backfield. And I think it's kind of similar with some of what we're seeing from Woody Mark. So definitely the player I have my eyes on tonight. Nico Collins, do we get another stud week here with Davis Mills force feeding him the ball? I feel like that was a good call by us last week, saying that the Davis Mills start seems to be very good for Nico Collins.
Yeah, I think it only adds to his value. Like I think like CJ Stroud's been a little bit abysmal this year, but no, this will be like a cool opportunity at least for him to kind of prove himself at least in this offense. It's been pretty shaky at least coming through the year.
Okay, then we're gonna get to an AFC clash here, which might have some playoff implications here. It is crazy to say. It is the Colts at the Chiefs. This should be a fun game, and I'm favoring the Colts here.
Yeah, I don't know. Did Daniel Jones get ruled out for this game? Or I know he's injured, or he had like an injury designation, unless I'm going crazy. I could have sworn I saw something hit my ESPN app, maybe like yesterday. But
do you get a vet rest day?
If that's the case, then I'm super stoked about that. But
he was limited with a calf as of today. You're right. I completely missed that one.
Okay, yeah, no, I saw that, so I was a little interested at least how this offense would operate if they're not able to clear him by then.
They're teasing Spags. They don't want him to know what quarterback's playing. You know.
Yeah, I don't even really know. Like with all these injury reports this year, you couldn't even convince me to stay strict on like whatever the diagnosis is for like half of these injuries. It's ridiculous.
Okay, well, the game definitely a lot different if Jones is out here. Or is it actually? Because I think they're just going to be leaning on Jonathan Taylor, who I think might be able to still keep them in this game, even if Jones were to be out. But I think we should have a fun one. Colts defense hasn't been playing great. I think Mahomes should have a pretty good day for fantasy purposes. Then you're starting Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey's been on just a tear, like probably outside Trey McBride, the most consistent and reliable tight end this season. And, rolling with Rashee Rice. But we probably are getting Isaiah Pacheco back this week. What do you make of this backfield? I know you made fun of me like 2 weeks ago when I said I had to make a desperation trade for Kareem Hunt. I think he could still have a good goal line role here against a struggling Colts defense. So I'm not entirely sure how this value is going to shake up. Do they ease back in Pacheco? I think Kareem Hunt still might be a desperation flex for me this week.
Yeah, I'm really not sold on that backfield by any means. It's tough to, at least for me, to buy in if I've got two kind of secured running backs. But I mean, this is like a must-win game for the Chiefs. So like in this situation, like I could see them kind of pulling a lot of tricks kind of out of their bag. I don't really know if I could clearly see like how the usage is going to be. I was a little bit kind of startled by the usage, at least for like Rashee in last game. I was expecting a little bit broader of numbers, at least out of him, and Mahomes is really spreading the ball. But I think like the true test, at least for this, is like how well the Chiefs are able to like kind of stifle the Colts run and like how they're going to deal with Jonathan Taylor. Because the Chiefs have literally allowed, I think it's roughly around I think it was 100 rushing yards per game, which like that's brutal if you're literally about to go up against the number one running back in the league. Like if they can't contain that, it could go both ways. Honestly, I could really see it getting away from the Chiefs. But if they can contain that and kind of, be the team that they are, and Mahomes can kind of run the game and run the clock like they do, I could say it's being a really close game with the Chiefs kind of taking this away.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be like the low key shoot. Well, I guess not low key. I think this has shootout written all over it, which is gonna be fun. So if that's the game script, and if Jones is playing, I actually really love Alec Pierce in this one as a fun flex. I think he could.
His volume is insane.
It's just, I think what he can do down the field against this Chiefs defense too, it will be pretty good. A name that I think entering the season we probably thought was someone that we would talk about as if he was a prolific player. Which one heat check here? If you're thinking this is a game where there could be a lot of kind of trick plays from the Chiefs and just a lot of, they want to hit on some explosives, could this be a week where you should start Xavier Worthy, or are we kind of completely out? I've been out since preseason, so just to add that kind of layer there. But if you're still rostering him as that boom bust upside, can we hope this is a boom game? I mean, there hasn't really been one.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be there, at least for like tonight. Or sorry, for this weekend. I don't know why I'm stuck on Texans, but no, yeah, I could see it because he had a lot more usage, at least in this past weekend, that I was like pleasantly surprised about and also annoyed about as like a Rasheed owner. But it could be there. Like this is gonna be one of those like weird scripts where like I don't really have much of like the best prediction for it because I think the Chiefs are really gonna have to dig deep in the playbook. I mean, probably get more usage out of him. So yeah, I think to your point, like you could definitely see that for this weekend.
Yeah, it's like kind of like how now he's come to his own, but last year it was like the player who most benefited from like trick plays and broken coverages on the Lions was Jamison Williams, where it's kind of like he was a Ben Johnson merchant, if you will, at least like last season. So
Yeah.
I could kind of see that being like that type of game for Worthy. Where I mean, if he's your wide receiver 3-4, I think you might want to flex him this week, but I know it hasn't been promising. Okay, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this one. Seahawks Titans. This should just be an absolute like beat down here in Nashville. Seahawks traveling. I have noticed a lot more this season that when these defensive units travel, they usually like don't play to what you would expect. But I think like 60% of their best for the Seahawks will still just absolutely dominate this Titans team. I think monster day for Seahawks DST, truly. Like that might be like a week winner. And just not really excited about anything on the Titans side of the ball at all. Even in deeper leagues, like at this point, Tony Pollard's not usable. Calvin Ridley dealing with a pretty major injury, so won't see him. And yeah, just not a whole lot to be excited about there. And on the Seahawks side, we finally get a Kem Walker game. Allegedly, their coaching staff saying that he's earned more opportunities. I don't know what he's had to really do to prove he needs more opportunities. He's kind of been that guy. But could be some fun for this backfield. Heck, I would say that Walker and Charbonnet both could score in this game, in what I expect to be a run-heavy game. But hopefully we get all the JSN damage in the first quarter. Could easily hit like 90 yards in the first quarter and just be done for the day.
Yeah, this is arguably going to be no contest. Like you should be licking your chops if you're a JSN owner, or honestly, any position across the board. Like this is just going to be a great opportunity for them. I mean, it's kind of crazy too, like to really think about at least for last week. And like Sam Darnold legitimately had 4 interceptions, like, and they still almost beat the Rams, which is like kind of nuts to think. So if you're going to go up against like this Titans team that's literally not put a single string together for, I would argue, like a good majority of the entire season, like this is just going to be fun for them. If you're a Seahawks fan, like you're going to have like one of the times of the season this year.
Yeah. And that's last note, then we can certainly move on from this one. Is Darnold startable, or is it kind of just like he's been like a pretty good, I feel like, matchup dependent QB? I don't know. I think it's gonna be a run heavy game.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, for me, he'd probably personally be more of a start at least this game than a good broad portion of the season. I know, like if you did own him this year, with the numbers that the Seahawks have put up and how well they've done, it certainly is not reflecting in like his fantasy value for like points scored per week. But I could definitely see like that opportunity coming where he probably breaks above 20 at least this week.
Yeah, I think I have him in more like the QB 12 to 15 range. So high end QB 2. Okay. Vikings at Packers, some NFC North football, some of my favorite football to watch this time of the year, especially as we approach Thanksgiving. Just love these rivalries. Vikings on the road in Green Bay, 2 just very interesting teams right now. We kind of talk about the inconsistency with the Packers. Now they lose Josh Jacobs. So really excited to see what happens with this passing game. And I know like Love left briefly with an injury this past week and came back in. So just a little bit banged up right now on the Packers side. And then on the Viking side, it's, everything coming out of their camp is just that this team's waiting for things to click with JJ McCarthy from the mechanical level. I think, JJ addressed that quite a bit this week, as did Kevin O'Connell. And I think the reality, though, that we can say, this is like, I don't know how to explain this because this isn't a player comparison at all. This is kind of giving me Trey Lance vibes in the sense of the team that drafted JJ McCarthy was like a very good football team that just needed like competent quarterback play. And they got that. And in fact, they got better than competent. They got very good quarterback play out of Sam Darnold. And I think probably too much of that was associated to the team skeleton and Kevin O'Connell, who's absolutely a great coach. But Sam Darnold's also good as he's proving this year. And now instead they're replacing good quarterback play with a developmental. I called him a rookie last week. I know he's not a rookie in JJ McCarthy, but basically his rookie season. And it's just not really the right fit, kind of like with the 49ers who were trying to contend for a Super Bowl and couldn't really afford to develop Trey Lance. They needed someone who could help them win now. So it's clearly causing a lot of frustration for this team. Justin Jefferson really showing his emotions this past week. And it's got to be frustrating too for JJ McCarthy because I think he's an elite competitor. Like I think one of the things you can't knock him for is like the mindset and the mental game and how he kind of like takes care of himself. So it's probably frustrating for him that he knows that this team needs more from him and he's not quite there yet.
Yeah, he's kind of been a tough character to at least watch this year. I mean, if you really had to look at his stats, like if you're going to look at like the last game where, they played a pretty admirable Bears team that was able to like come back, like he didn't take a single sack that whole game. And if you're going to look at like his stats from these last few games, I want to say when I looked at the stat line, it was like he's at like 50% for like accuracy on throws. So like that's really he's been his own worst enemy, at least in these last couple of games, to really like kind of put this Vikings team in a position to succeed. And this is like a tough Packers defense. Like they've kind of really sharpened their corners these last, I would say probably like the last like 5 to 6 games. So this will be like a really good true test for him. I favor the Packers here. I know that they're beat up, and that's really kind of their biggest issue at like to date. I mean, it's really starting to catch up with them as they go through like the depth of like this late season. But this will kind of be one of those like true test games. I don't really see it being a blowout either way. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I don't think it's going to be a high point scoring game. I don't see either team breaking 20 personally. Very well could happen with a few kicks, but this will be like one of those like gritty, like classic, like NFL games where, if you're a fan, like you just want to get the win for this week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you there. How are we viewing the Vikings skills guy? Like, I guess particularly let's just talk about Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel kind of terrible for this take because, anyone who's ever asked me about Jefferson and like trades for Dynasty, just like, in the leagues I'm in, I'm like, he's the most quarterback proof player there is. Like, of course he's still worth like that first round startup pick. And maybe he's not QB proof or maybe JJ McCarthy's just kind of like that bad for fantasy. I don't still like time to be, I don't know, there's still time for things to get figured out long term with JJ McCarthy. But for this season, like is Jefferson's kind of just like a low upside wide receiver too. And I don't know if I really see that changing down the stretch here.
Yeah, it's really hard because like we know how good he is. Like absolutely disgusting of a wide receiver. And I think that brings me back to my point of like the accuracy, at least for JJ McCarthy. Like if he can't sharpen up, I guess, it really does kind of prove that they do need a little bit more of a special talent in that QB role. If, McCarthy isn't able to kind of sharpen in for like the next like year or two. I don't really know who would be that replacement. I think that they've invested so much into JJ and they want him to succeed in the role. But I, personally, like I would need to kind of look at his tape and see where those area of improvements are. Because I think that just really comes down to like what they can do with him and kind of if there's potential that they see like in practices, and that's why they have the faith in him, like it's just not really showing at the pro level. And I hate to say that especially for Jetson, who's like just should not be put in that kind of a situation. Like he's just an amazing player.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move to the Tyrod Taylor-led Jets. What a saga this has been. They will be on the road versus the Ravens, one of the hottest teams in football right now, 4-game win streak, very much pushing for this, not only a playoff spot, they could still win their division, still very much in play. I think this could be another one of those kind of just absolute like throttlings like we were talking about with the Seahawks. Although the Ravens don't really have a defensive unit like Seattle does. But yeah, I'm really not expecting much here on both sides of the ball from the New York Jets.
Yeah, I mean, Ravens are on a 4-game win streak, and like they're actually really like starting to look like the team that I pictured them to kind of have in the beginning of the season, where they really struggled, and especially with Lamar being out for that bit of a stretch. No, but with him back, like it's been fun. Like I think Zay Flowers is definitely like a viable start. I think with Lamar back, like I think Henry, it brings out a lot of the value for Derrick Henry. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of that situation where it's just due for the Ravens to kind of pick up this momentum that they've been well overdue for. And yeah, it's been tough. I mean, the Jets, like as bad as they are, like I was looking at some of the stat lines, and a good portion of like their losses were like on average roughly around like at least one touchdown. So it's not like, I mean, some games it was awful, but I mean, most of these haven't been like real true blowouts. So I think at least for this instance, like you've got a Ravens team that's really kind of starting to pick that up, and they're kind of looking more like a playoff team that could make a stretch. I think it's probably going to end up being pretty one-sided. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just the hard part about this part of the season is not that teams are giving up necessarily, but like you have the trade deadline where the Jets like trade away so many key players. It's just the bad teams kind of just get worse. And I mean, to be quite honest, I guess if you're a Mason Taylor owner right now and he's your tight end and that's all you have, I'd be thrilled that it's Tyrod Taylor and not Justin Fields who's going to throw for 50 yards a game. And I do expect kind of a more balanced attack as well. Like I think Breece Hall could still have a pretty good game here against this Ravens defense. Just one from volume alone, but two from Fields not vulturing the rush attempts. So I kind of feel decent on that front, but yeah, really just Lamar in this one and Andrews in this one, and I think everyone else is kind of the sit. I guess Derrick Henry, of course. And then I think Zay Flowers is kind of just what he's been all season.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see like how Breece Hall is able to kind of perform, because like when like this team, like the Jets team, they've averaged under 140 yards like passing per game. So like they're not putting Breece in these kind of advantageous situations for him to kind of like succeed and like have his good breakouts consistently throughout the whole game. But yeah, this will be like a weird like test for them, but also, yeah, are they going to kind of flip the script and are they trying to lose? Like I really can't put a thumb on it.
I just traded for Breece in a dynasty, so I am just need him to stay healthy. I need him to be free.
Yeah, no, I like that for you.
I traded Genty for Breece and then what should be a top 3 pick. So I'm feeling.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about Genty.
That's kind of a fleece. Okay. Giants at Lions. I think we're gonna get Jackson Dart back for this one, just in time for this. Will be could be a pretty fun game. I expect it heavily to be favored for the Lions here. I think like this could be a Montgomery game. Like I don't know. I think like every Lion can eat in this one. So start all your Lions for sure. And then on the Giant side, I just think we'll kind of see what happens with this Daboll firing. Like, are the rumors correct that part of this is like how he's having Jackson Dart risk his life to like save his own coaching career, things like that? So will Dart run as much? I think that's kind of the big question here. And if he doesn't, then that actually would really tank his fantasy upside. But I'm still thinking it's more of the player, not the coaching, and he's someone that's competitive and wants to run and is making that choice himself. So yeah, I like Dart here as a start. Kind of comparing him to Darnold, I think that's a similar range, and I would lean Jackson Dart in this situation. And Tyrone Tracy finally had like a pretty solid game against the Packers this past week, but it's still Devin Singletary now who's getting like the goal line and red zone work. So I don't know. I still think you got flex upside in Tracy.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the options, at least for the Giants, there's a reasonable amount of upside, at least, and like pretty convincing, flex options for this week. Because you got to assume like the Giants are going to be playing from behind for I would argue like the entire game
from the first snap.
Like yeah, like the Lions are 3-1 at home and like they have not lost a single back-to-back, game. So, looking at that, like when you have a team that's averaged, I want to say it's around like 20, it's like 25 points per game roughly. Like you're starting like all your lines players, like like they're gonna go crazy against this like pretty mediocre Giants defense. So yeah, no, I think there's a lot of upside, at least to your point. Like I think Dart's gonna kind of be able to work the field like he does, and he's been honestly been one of like the most exciting players to watch outside of like Drake May, at least for like this season.
Yeah, I think Jameson Williams too has kind of entered the must-start territory, which
Yeah, I wanted to talk about him.
I hate taking L's, but wasn't a huge fan of his, and I was feeling really convicted and good about that for like 10 weeks, and then the play calling changed to Dan Campbell, and he clearly just wants Jameson to be more involved here. So kind of just one of those situations where how big of a difference a play calling change can make.
Yeah, that was everything for his fantasy value. Like he comes into me, like I think he kind of turns into like that like kind of dub flex category where like I think if he can have one more great game with like high volume, like there's no doubt in my mind why you wouldn't want to start him each week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Steelers at Bears. Aaron Rodgers, I forgot what the official injury was, but not broken wrist, like I don't know, but not on his throwing hand. So I think he probably can play through it here. In Chicago, I mean, Bears continue to string together some really impressive wins. I know that it's like this is like the criticism that a lot of teams get is like, oh, they're getting lucky in these games, and it's like all these one score games, but also like you're winning these games, so it's a testament to the coaching and just the way this team has been playing. Flag plant here right now for fantasy points. Steelers are, I want to say they're the last time I checked, 32nd ranked opponent against wide receivers. So give me the Luther Burden breakout game here at home, unleashed against these Steelers.
Yeah, no, this is going to be fun if you have if you hold any of the Bears, like I think this is going to be a fun game. Like
29th, sorry, they've moved up.
Oh wow, yeah, you got to give them credit a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, I would say like at least for this game, like I would attribute a lot of their success to just like they just like haven't turned the ball over. Like at least in like this last stretch of games, like they've done a really good job of kind of like playing to their strengths and kind of finding like these weird like little breakouts around the field. But yeah, I'm actually pretty confident in like Caleb Williams and like a good start for this week. Like I kind of love it. I think that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I think it's kind of been really tough, at least for like this Steelers defense to really make anything, at least this year. I think they're still trying to like kind of find a shell of that reputation that they've had for like historical, however many years. But yeah, no, like I think who your Bears starters are. It's not written in this. It's written. I think it's pretty like evident that you you know how you feel about them. And yeah, for the Steelers, like I don't really know what to make of it. I like that injury. It's kind of like you can play through it, but I know there's a lot of discomfort, at least for I would argue one of the most historic like QBs of like an era. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know how I feel like with Mason Rudolph. Like I'm not super stoked about him if like Rodgers can't make the start. So I think like this whole game script kind of relies on like if Rodgers can kind of start and like play a full game.
Yeah, I think the big winner for the Steelers right now is going to be Kenny Gainwell. I think he's the one that you can start with the most confidence. Just absolute workhorse role right now with Jaylen Warren down. It's been good to see a little bit of Caleb Johnson on the field, a rookie that I was certainly very high on, but that takeover's we're not remotely close to having that conversation. So Kenny Gainwell is like probably a pretty clear-cut RB1 this week against this Bears defense. So DK Metcalf, wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
like I'd definitely lean like those running. I got lean a Gainwell for sure over like Metcalf as a flex.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially with like did they mention where like the progress that Warren's had? Like I have not been monitoring.
I think it's definitely a multi-week injury. Yeah, I don't know I don't have the exact timeline there, but Gainwell, like you should be able to use for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I would feel pretty secure at least on a start for him. Yeah,
All
they're
right,
always done a pretty reasonable job, at least like opening the field up for him.
Yeah, very true. We're gonna get to another game where we got some bad defense that we're dealing with this Bengals defense. And you have me fooled here twice because Jaylen Warren is back at practice.
I know. Yeah, I was trying to monitor that, and I know that really would kind of impact Gainwell, especially for touches. I could end up bringing him back in a limited fashion, like if they do.
Yeah,
kind of feel
no,
like
that's actually pretty surprising because I thought when the injury first happened, a little bit severe there.
Yeah, like I picked him up just with that chance, but yeah.
We'll see. All right, good call. Good call. See, here's what's been happening. So, tangent. I've been recently really doing some self-reflection. It's the Thanksgiving season, all about just being grateful and in the moment. So I've been working on not being on my phone all the time. So I got one of those, not sponsored. I got like the Brick, which I get all these ads for, where like you tap your phone and it like locks you like all your apps. I've been doing this during the workday. It's been awesome. I'm so focused. I am locked in. I get so much more done. Or I guess more time-wise efficient. But on the flip side, I'm missing all this NFL news. So I gotta get back to the drawing board here on I don't know. Because I'm usually, my full-time job is being a dynasty manager and my part-time job is having a career. But I don't know. I might need a flip.
Life's all about balance.
All about balance.
The corporate scheme loves to see a guy that locks his phone up. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I gotta start advertising it more. I gotta announce in meetings. This thing I'm doing. It's true. All right. Patriots at Bengals. Joe Burrow getting the starting reps in practice. It's actually Joe Flacco is limited and Joe Burrow is not limited. So just quite the turn of events there. I kind of think Burrow plays. I don't know how popular of an opinion that is. I think obviously he announced that the real target was week 13. But I just don't see how you're logging full practices. Your division's open. And I don't know. I think he very easily could play Sunday. But on the flip side, and if Burrow does come back, it's going to be a little bit tough because there's no Jamar Chase, 1-game suspension, which we can certainly talk about. But Patriots side here, though, I think they could have a field day. I love Drake May this week. I think even if Stevenson's back, Henderson is an absolute smash play here. If Kayshon Bouttie's back, I like him as a flex. I think he could easily score a long touchdown here, and Diggs has been really consistent. So it's pretty crazy that this Patriots offense has given us at least 3 really solid starters each week throughout the season.
Yeah, I second you on all of those takes because this Bengals defense does not have the lineup to be able to quell or keep down any of these players, especially with kind of the role that they've been on. It's actually been really refreshing to kind of see Stephon Diggs kind of build that connection with Drake May. It's fun to see how well Drake May is able to stretch the ball and play a lot of if you couldn't have fooled me at the beginning of the season to think any of this wide receiver core would kind of achieve any of the fantasy value that they kind of hold outside of Stephon Diggs.
No,
he's done a phenomenal job. And yeah, to your point, TreVeyon Henderson, smash. He's coming off of a 3-touchdown game. Come on. How could you not want to root for him? So this is kind of his chance. I mean, I'm interested to see. I want to say Ramondre is back this week.
Yeah, he's been practicing. So yeah. I think that's certainly a big storyline into this game is how are they going to use these running backs? But I think going back to our TreVeyon takes and conversations and a lot of what in all the fantasy pundits, it's kind of been the same story. It's really just been, what's this trust that Vrabel has? And I think in a weird way, okay, so if you look at the Vrabel press conferences from beginning of the season, it legitimately, there's all the jokes of what did Henderson do to Vrabel, et cetera. And because he wasn't saying anything positive about the guy, at all, really not. They'd ask him about, his role and it'd kind of be hope we hope he can get more involved on special teams. Like that's not what you want to hear when you're when you just invested in someone that was taken in the second round. And now the narrative's flipped a little bit where he's actually saying nice things about TreVeyon. He's saying, oh, he really helped us. He's been protecting the ball. So let's make it so all of our running backs can help us. So I do think there's some room for his role to be what we expected at the beginning of the year, getting limited touches, but then being meaningful touches.
Yeah, this will definitely be like kind of one of those weird ones where like TreVeyon's done, I would argue, like everything he can to kind of try and solidify that like certified position. And, if Rhamondre comes back in and gets more volume, at least than I'm expecting, I don't really know like how to even make sense of it at this point. Like he's done everything he could. He's solidified himself. He's taken up the volume and filled that void in like such an unsure kind of backfield. So I don't know how, like, if you take that away from him, I don't know how, like, you're going to kind of continue, like, rest of season. Like they have such a good opportunity to make such a great playoff run, especially with, like, the momentum they have. And, like, I don't think if you can't solidify, like, TreVeyon at this point, like, I don't know. But
yeah,
I'm just ranting. But
no, well, speaking of that, this team does have health going for them for sure. Like Milton Williams was just placed on IR on the defensive side for them, and that was the first starter this whole season that they've had on IR. Like think about all the injuries we talk about on the show. Every team has feels like they have multiple starters that have missed several times. So I mean, the Patriots certainly have health on their side right now, and their strength and conditioning coach is Duron Mayo, I believe, related to Gerard Mayo. I could be making that up, actually.
No idea. But give that man a raise. That's all I know.
Yeah. That'd just be a weird coincidence. 2 Mayos on the same coaching staff. I might need to do a quick search here.
Gotta keep it in the family.
Yeah. No, but seriously, shout out. MVP. I don't know. Just let Rhamondre be bad between the tackles and then save TreVeyon for the outside. But also, I guess if they do that, they become very predictable for other defenses. If TreVeyon's on the field, that they're running to the outside. So they kind of, I don't know, it's almost like a weird situation for them where he's so good at that element of the game, but then you still have to keep him on the field for those inside reps to at least keep the defense guessing. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how Vrabel figures this out. But I think he will. All right, Browns at Raiders. Shedeur Sanders making his first career start here on the road against the Raiders, who kind of just put up a really just pitiful performance on Monday Night Football. Just not at all what we were expecting from the Raiders, who I think we all thought kind of had some juice as an offense. And right now it's pretty detrimental. It's just the line play is terrible. And Geno Smith is just not a good quarterback, which is weird because he's been a very good quarterback for the last, 3 years that we've been able to watch him.
Yeah, no, ridiculous. Like, and kind of what I wanted to bring up, at least when you mentioned Ashton Jeanty earlier on your trade, like he had two carries in the first half. Like they gave up on the run so early. And like that to me is like such an indicator, at least, of like what they see, at least for how they want to play as a team. Like it's very much less like about Ashton Jeanty and more so just about like the team that he's in. Like we're talking about him only having 6 attempts for like 7 yards. Like, come on. Like you spent all of that draft capital, like pulling by far the best running back for what would have been that incoming draft class. And, you're not making any kind of use out of it. So like, to me, like that's pretty like telling, at least as like a franchise. They've got like a lot of rebuilding to do.
Yeah.
So like for dynasty value, that makes it really tough and kind of interesting. If they're not able to make kind of those very key incoming picks to kind of reshape it, it really definitely mitigates a lot of that. Kind of like how I felt, at least at the beginning of the year. But yeah, I guess on the flip side, I don't know, like the Browns are bad. Like this is kind of just like a gross game. Like I have the Browns, but like not by much.
You have
Not gonna
two very
lie.
startable DSTs in this one.
Yeah, like it's gonna be probably. I hate to say it, but is this gonna be like a defensive like matchup?
It's these are, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
what?
you're watching this for Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. See, like truly, that's who
Yeah.
you're watching this game for. If you love smash mouth defensive football, hell yeah, like lock in and tune into this one. I do kind of want to see Shador, like, obviously did not play well, but I think there is something to, well, they haven't given him first team reps all year. So he's throwing to people for the very first time on this team. I think that at least matters somewhat. So we'll see if he can maybe put things together. A lot of people thought he would be a Raider. So there's like a bit of revenge game narrative here, but I don't know if you can say that when you're a day 3 pick and you were passed up on like by both teams like several times, and the team you're on picked a quarterback before you. So we'll kind of see what happens here. Just, yeah, I think I kind of do want to talk about both these running backs, and I'll try not to spiral too much into just a dynasty rant. But I think both Genty and Judkins are like arguably sells, and it's not necessarily because I think they're very good players. I just think right now what they're being valued in is dynasty is like not what you're going to get from them. Like we got 5 points from Judkins last week in a workhorse role. Like running backs on bad teams are just so hard to invest in, where at least if you are in dynasty, like remotely contending, when you can flip, like I said, I got Genty, or I traded away Genty for Brees Plus. Like to me, like I think you kind of have to do that, even though I still do think like you can crown Genty as this like very prized dynasty possession. You just have to know that he's not at that like Bijan level probably for like 2 years at least, not because of his own doing, but because they like you can't build an offensive line overnight. And I think the running back position is just all about opportunity more than talent in dynasty, which at least when I do like the dynasty videos, I'm always like fading running back as a position. Like why would you need Genty on your team when you could probably go get Sean Tucker, who's going to outscore him, and like several first round picks? Like, yeah, I don't know. That's just how I view it. And I guess that's more of an extreme example, but it's all about who's on the field and getting you points. And right now it's not Genty and it's not Judkins. And yet they're still viewed as like these elite top tier assets where you can flip them for really good players at other positions.
Yeah, like I kind of want to look at the statistics on it, but like I kind of want to see the point differential if you were to have Genty the whole year versus if you went week to week and just played off of like players that got pulled in for like a week to 3 week stunt, like how you would kind of fare on your value for like a whole season. I'd be really kind of interested to kind of see that. You know what I mean? Like even just playing the waiver wire, pulling the casuals. I think I would say you'd fare a lot better if you're really going to look at the numbers. So yeah, no, to your point, like it's tough.
Yeah, my best dynasty team, I had like 3 really good weeks of Rachaad White. I've had I have Woody Mark, so he's gotten me through. Like I don't know, there's just when you're really strong at quarterback and receiver in dynasty, because you're usually starting a lot of receivers, like running back, obviously like Achane and Christian McCaffrey, like you want those guys on your team. I'm not saying you don't, but these younger players that are on bad offenses with like very little scoring upside, they're just great sells. I don't know. Like it's just how I view it. I want players who are scoring me points, and I'm not. Now in 3 years, I think Genty will absolutely be at that ceiling. I think they can build a line in 3 years, and you'll be so happy you had him. But for right now, specifically, I don't know. Sometimes the names are worth more than the points in dynasty, and I think those are the times you kind of have to capitalize and sell players. It's really hard. Like it's really hard. Like hitting accept where I'm sending away Genty hurt my soul.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like draft. I mean, yeah, in dynasty, like drafting him that high, and even like not in dynasty, like I would say Genty was probably on average going in like second round, like if not, I would say probably like early third. But yeah, that's tough. It's almost like a BTJ situation, where like you spent all that draft capital on him at least for the year, and you're just really not reaping any of the benefit of it.
Yeah, it's knowing when to sell running backs is just like the hardest thing, and I think it's like the name of the game. Like, because if you on the flip, you're like, oh, 5 years ago, you're probably, oh, Derrick Henry's getting old. Let me sell him. And like, that was just a bad bet.
Yeah, little did you know.
But for any other running back, that was probably a good bet. So it's just pretty crazy. Yeah, you can always trade for like spot starts. All right. We didn't spiral too much. Okay. Jags at Cardinals here. Marvin Harrison Jr. Missing second game with appendicitis, just kind of brutal for him. It's like just really tough. But we get Jacoby Brissett here making another start, and Trey McBride's just been dominant. Like he's up there with the elite receivers, and he's doing it at the tight end position here. So especially with no Marv, I think his dominance is going to absolutely continue in this game against Jacksonville. Yeah, I don't know. The Jags are like just odd. Like I think they have a weird storyline every single week. And this past week, we're getting back to now the Bashal Tutin takeover, which we liked to talk about at the beginning of the season. And now it's coming a little bit more into fruition, even though like ETN's been playing well. So it just seems like they just do something different each game. And this past game, it was like the RB split for them. So an interesting game here, I think.
Yeah, the volume's there for Bashal Tutin. Like in a perfect world, like he's a really great player. You know what I mean? And it's just unfortunate that he kind of gets stifled by ETN with how well he's been doing this year, which I wasn't really super high on. But I think that it's just with how well that Jacksonville team, like the defense has done to kind of keep the offense out of the field. Like Trevor Lawrence really hasn't made much of anything this season. I think the real highlight, at least for that team, is like their running back situation. So I think it's not great for ETN owners, but I think if you're a Tutin holder, I think that opens up a great opportunity for you if they can continue to kind of build on that volume and build the trust around them. Yeah, like I favor Jags in this one. I think the Cardinals have just let up way too many points in the last few weeks to really kind of keep up with anything. I'm interested to kind of see how it plays out. I think it's going to end up being pretty close, but I could also kind of see, scripts where it could be like a medium to high, and probably more of a medium blowout, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, if the Jags can kind of keep how well they've done on defense and keep the offense on the field, I think it's going to be tough for the Cardinals kind of building momentum.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the Cardinals here probably still have two players that just based on injuries might get elevated into a lot of starting lineups. And that's Michael Wilson, who just absolutely dominates this past week. This past week was the 47 completions, right? For Jacoby Brissett. Right. That wasn't 2 weeks ago, right? That was this past week. His record setting game. I would assume so, because I hope I'm not mixing up my weeks too much, but with Michael Wilson getting 18 targets, just absolutely ridiculous numbers there. I know you'll pull that up for me. I should know that one. And then Bam Knight, I think, for the running backs is just the other player that might be started by a lot of people because there's no Amari DeMercado here. Trey Benson still, he's designated to return from IR, but not quite yet. So I kind of like Bam Knight, to be quite honest, in this one as a little bit of a start. And Evan, this might make you sick, but you could even argue that Bam Knight over Genty.
Bam Knight over Genty. I never thought we would get to a point in the season where we're saying that. I cannot lie to you. Oh my God. Yeah, but no, yeah, I could see
Genty against the Browns defense. Like what?
Yeah, you would think like
you're getting 10 carries for 11 yards.
Yeah, but like I don't even know what to make of the Cardinals backfield. Like it's like
I don't think it's gonna be pretty when Benson returns. I think it's gonna be impossible to predict, but this might be the one last week of fool's gold we might get. Shout out Cam Newton. All right. Eagles at Cowboys. Your Eagles on the road against the Dallas Cowboys, who played phenomenal. I know it was against the Raiders, but Dak looked awesome. Like, man, he's just good to see him after the bye, just continuing to tear. What a George Pickens game. I'm fully taking that L now. Like, I was so anti Pickens entering the season. Probably my worst take for sure. He's a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. As is Lamb. This is going to be a pretty tough challenge, though, because this Eagles defense has been playing very, very well. I expect the Eagles to kind of go. Both these teams I don't think are going to be able to like run the ball that well. what Cowboys did with adding Quinn Williams and even Kenny Clark, like they're hard to run on now. So I think Saquon could really struggle here. And on the flip side, we know how good this Eagles defensive line is. I think Javonte Williams could kind of continue his like downward trend. Still a good fantasy player, but not what he was those first few weeks of the season. So I think we could just have a lot of throwing in this game, and you're gonna be happy with your receivers here.
Yeah, like as an Eagles fan, this is like one of those weird, like, at least as of like how the media has been going, like I don't get like how, at least as of like last game, like where the volume kind of came from for AJ Brown. Like I don't know if that's like there was an interview and they basically said like, oh, it was just all like, games, it was kind of game script, like it just kind of fell into place. We, it was just how the plays worked out. We didn't necessarily target AJ Brown. I don't know if that's like, a lie to kind of cover that they want to use their guy more. But yeah, like for this, me personally, like being a little bit unbiased, like I have the Eagles on this. I don't think the Cowboys defense is really like good enough to kind of keep up with like this Eagles offense, who I would argue is kind of started to sprout a little bit. But yeah, like with how good like the Eagles D is, like they're going to give the Cowboys so much trouble. And it's kind of been really impressive to kind of still see that same volume that Pickens has gotten, even with like CD back in the lineup. Like that was really kind of startling to me. But I mean, I guess it can't be like all that, crazy, because like Dak is still kind of spreading the ball. Like he still absolutely loves Ferguson. Like he's the first look whenever he's in the red zone. So I guess you can kind of come to a certain point where it can be kind of predicted at that point. But yeah, I think if the Eagles can kind of keep that momentum with their defense, I think it could end up being a pretty tough game for the Cowboys. And if the Eagles can kind of keep momentum and kind of pull something out with the additional time on the field, it could end up just being, a little bit one-sided.
Yeah, I'll be a little contrarian to you. Actually, I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one.
Don't do it to me.
Particularly because they're at home. Like that makes all the difference to me. Like this offense,
they play well at home.
Plays at a different level at home. Just one of those teams that I don't know. Just playing home in the dome. It just elevates this team for whatever reason. And hopefully, maybe CD. I don't know. I'm guessing Texas. I guess Dallas probably does not have a Vegas Red Rocks where they could go throw up and then play the games of their lives the next day. But they, if that's what it takes on a week to week basis, should be good here. Yeah, this is tricky because I have a league where I have to make a decision between Dak and Purdy, and I'm going Purdy. We'll talk about here in a sec, but it's so hard to bench Dak. Like 4 touchdowns, he looked awesome. Yeah. I will give the Eagles defense some credit. How are you feeling about AJ Brown's comments today? They asked him if he's not the same player, and he goes, "Oh, I guess Saquon isn't either." What a response!
Oh my god!
What
Such bad vibes. Such bad vibes going into the weekend. I didn't even know. I've been heads down at work for the last 2 days. Oh, yeah. Been brutal, and that's no.
Yeah, just are you not the same player? To be fair, that's kind of like
crazy.
As a journalist, why are you asking that?
Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question, honestly. But
I think it's just fair for him to say other people aren't performing to their peaks either. So why aren't you questioning them? But,
yeah, I guess to his point, like I kind of expected regression for Saquon this season. Like after coming off of like such an insane season last year, to me it was kind of expected. Like I know he's like such a great caliber of a player, but like to kind of mimic that after having so many touches and kind of beating your body up after a year, like I didn't really see him kind of mirroring that similar output. But yeah, for an AJ Brown to kind of use him as an example, that's such bad vibes. But I'm just gonna go off of a positive, ride the high that our defense has only allowed 16 points in the last 2 weeks, and I'm just gonna go with it.
So actually, I did not realize that. So I've done 2 fact-checking things right now. Okay, so first one, this was the week where Jacoby Brissett had the NFL record 47 completions. Don't know why these weeks are just blending together. But all right, I didn't realize that AJ Brown's contract extension is through 2029. Like,
holy!
So they really he has to get traded. I was thinking like maybe they were keeping him for like another championship run this year. And maybe like there was an out after. I don't know. Like This is going to be really interesting to monitor for next year.
Yeah.
I will say AJ Brown grew up Patriots fan. Might want to go play with Drake May.
That would be insane, because he's not someone that I want to trade. I understand that like the potential, like when they brought him onto the team, it like met the caliber for that Super Bowl like push. But like, yeah, if vibes continue like this, like I could see a lot of fans kind of getting fed up, and at least like the franchise, because he kind of comes into question of being like, a problem character, at least in the locker room. But that's a whole other discussion of like bad vibes, and we don't want bad vibes here in Philly.
It was much more fun when he was reading books on the sideline to address the bad vibes.
Loved it. Dude, I loved it.
We need to get back to that AJ Brown.
Maybe they just want everyone to feel like there's inner turmoil and
start using him in the playoffs.
Yeah, like convince everyone that we're the bad vibes crew. We're not going to do well, but I think we're a deep team. Like I don't know. I think we have enough to make it again.
Hey AJ, play at 70% so that in the playoffs, like no one's expecting you to be 100%. Yeah, it could be a thing. All right, I know we got some Woody Marks to watch, so let's go a little bit of rapid fire here. Falcons, Saints. So gross now with no Penix, no London. Just brutal loss. I feel so bad for Michael Penix, man. Like this was such a fluky injury. I feel like with the way that he was tackled that, and obviously his, people didn't think he'd stay healthy in the NFL, and that was a big knock on him. So you hate to see it. ACL will need surgery. And then Drake London, maybe we get back next week. Looks like he's going to miss this one with the PCL. So similar to what Bowers was dealing with earlier this year. So I don't know how they're so optimistic on that when we saw Bowers hampered by this for a month of the season. And if they're 3-9, what are we? I don't know. Why are we going to waste Drake London? So I'm a bit scared of that, to be quite honest, for fantasy purposes. We'll get another game here of Tyler Shuck, who actually was fairly decent for fantasy purposes in his last start. And who I think is going to be back in this one that is a start this week is Alvin Kamara. Mm-hmm. His playoff schedule is great. It is all good matchups for him from now till the end of the season. So if you haven't had a trade deadline, which I'm pretty anti-trade deadline, but I like Kamara as someone who can actually help you win a championship, and you can probably get him for nothing in Dynasty and Redraft because everyone thinks he's toast. So one last ride here, I think, for Alvin Kamara.
I like the call, yeah, especially with like Tyler only taking. I have it written down. Where was it? 3 sacks or less in his 3 starts, which I think kind of puts him in a situation where he can have that time to make those decisive passes and get that utilization out of Kamara. I really like that call. And, it's going to be tough. As a Bijan owner, I want him to succeed. And I kind of want to see him have another crazy game, but I feel like this probably won't be the biggest blowout. I think it's honestly going to end up being a tighter game than some people might expect. Really tough losing London. And is Penix out the rest of the season?
Yeah, he's getting ACL surgery. Yeah, so we get Kirk Cousins.
Yikes! Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're on what, a 6-game losing streak? So
yes, it's not good.
Yeah, no. If this is probably the week to break that losing streak, but I don't really see that being by much.
I think they can win. I think it's going to be close. I think we're going to get a lot of neutral game scripts here, so I think it's good for Bijan. And I think if you're hoping for anything out of the Falcons pass catchers, I think you're flexing Darnell Mooney, and you're getting low-end tight end 1 production out of Kyle Pitts. And that's kind of all we can really say about this offense. And Saints side, of course, you're starting Olave. And yeah, I like Kamara. That's my big, I really think he could string together some good games here down the stretch. All right, Bucks Rams just otherworldly. They've been playing so well. As did the Seahawks. That was an awesome game, just like we thought it would be. But Rams really are playing the best team in the NFL, certainly up there. And I think they're going to actually cause a lot of problems for this Bucks team. I think if you were really excited about the Sean Tucker breakout, I think you're going to be really disappointed in this one, trying to run against this Rams defense. And Rachaad White, despite the Sean Tucker breakout last week, played 60% of the snaps. So it kind of looks like Bucky is trending towards health. But then we have Mike Florio drop a bomb like just a couple hours ago, saying where he has like inside information that Bucky's like nowhere close to playing. Like, so I, it's kind of rare that journalists sort of like drop that, like then say things they probably shouldn't say. So I actually think there is like weight to that. So I think we still might get a split backfield here. And if the Bucks are trailing, like I think they will, I actually think that bodes well for Rachaad White. And it's kind of going to be difficult to trust either of these running backs. One is kind of just a game script thing. And now with the Sean Tucker breakout, we don't know what that usage will be. And please keep in mind, like I love Sean Tucker, Syracuse guy. So, he's my guy always. But he did this last year. He was the RB1 overall in fantasy against the Saints in like week 5 or 6 last season, and then went back to like barely being involved. So this staff has time and time again said he's earned more touches, and their actions have not backed it up. I don't know why it would be much different this time, other than the fact that it's a year later, and maybe he's now proven to earn a little bit more. But I think they're still going to lean on White in these passing down situations and for the pass pro.
Yeah, I think this will be a fun game. I think this is one of those ones where like you kind of already have like your picked out starters. Like the Rams are playing phenomenally. Like Stafford, absolutely unreal. 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and I think let me find it. 112.7 pass rating. So like just playing insane, especially with like the tools that he has around him. And honestly, like Baker's arguably having one of like not his best seasons, but like having such a phenomenal season overall. So this is kind of being one of those ones where it's like, it's fun. It'll be light. Like I could see a lot of explosive games out of like Emeka, and just a lot of like players across the board for like the Bucs side. It's going to be tough with this Rams D. It'll be like a really true test to kind of like how they can play around it, especially with like some of those injuries. But we'll see. Like I already know who I'm starting for the Rams. The Bucs, I'm a little bit concerned because I know how well this Rams team has kind of played and kind of the momentum that they're carrying. But I think it'll end up shaping to be like a pretty like fun. I'm not going to say shootout, but I would say it's a pretty fun like high scoring game.
Yeah, I hope so. And the one sleeper I do want to shout out, a rookie that it taken longer for him to get on the field than I originally thought, but it's Terrence Ferguson for the Rams. Tyler Higbee goes on IR, tight end for the Rams. So I think this is really going to open up things for Terrence Ferguson, who I really liked as a prospect, just a really good move tight end, like just a great route runner. So I'm kind of excited to see what he can do if he can get more snaps here in that absence. And then we're ending things in San Francisco on Monday night, where the Panthers will be visiting the 49ers. Panthers just playing some fun football, like Bryce, like over 400 yards this past week. Just continues to be a roller coaster ride, but his name's not brought up that much, but I don't see why Dave Canales isn't like in the running here for, coach of the year with what he's been able to do with this Panthers team on a lot of different levels. They can run the ball really well when they want to, and now they're showing that they have some juice in the passing game too. And Tetairoa McMillan has sort of fully arrived after a monster game this past weekend.
Yeah, they're kind of like that weird team where they're like such a boomer bust on like a week-to-week basis. It's been like really hard at least to like read them and kind of figure out like how they want to work this team. But at least like as of right now, it kind of seems like they're kind of shaping into the scheme that they've been looking for this whole year. So I think it's going to be like a fun game. I think that the Niners, they look phenomenal. Like I have them favored at least in this game. I think there's a game script out there where like the Panthers could put up a reasonably good fight if they can keep that, boom momentum, but it could honestly flip on the complete opposite. They could just fall apart. But yeah, the Niners D hasn't really, like, especially with like the injuries, they really just haven't like been able to kind of stifle a lot of the offenses that they've been playing. At least like as fully as we've seen when, they were like a Super Bowl contending team. But, I think that with Purdy coming back, that's really kind of revitalized that offense. And I'm like really excited for him. Like he's probably like my favorite player on that team outside of like Christian McCaffrey, to kind of, I would argue, to start on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be a shootout just with how beat up the Niners defense has been. And even though they like blew out the Cardinals, again, NFL record from Jacoby Brissett for completions. Like this Niners defense can be beaten. So I think like Tyrone McMillan could have a good day. I think Rico Dowdle could have a great day. I think even Chuba Hubbard, if he's starting to get worked more in here, I think this might get closer to a 50-50 split again. Rico Dowdle, like I know he's been so fun to talk about. He's been atrocious on the ground in the last 2 games, like truly terrible, like below 2 yards a carry in 2 straight games. So yeah, just I don't think there's as much juice there in that running game now. So I think it might be, maybe we should lean a little bit more on the guy that we extended and is a captain or has been a captain of our team. But yeah, Purdy, man, it's been so fun seeing the vibes change there with the audibles. Like that George Kittle touchdown was an audible that he called just to isolate Kittle with like the linebacker and just have him go to the outside, and nice little dime for a 30-yard touchdown. He probably felt so good. And he pretty much said that post game, just like, oh yeah, like this, I'm back. Like this is the NFL, and I'm back. So yeah, I didn't realize that you were like a Purdy truther as well. I thought that was just me.
No, I've always liked Purdy. Like even if you look at his stats from year to year, like he's so consistent. Like I feel like it's kind of hard when you look at the numbers, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why some people are like so low on him. It kind of is mind-boggling to me, and he goes so late on a lot of like the draft boards that like you could literally get a QB1 as like a 7th or 8th round pick for like most like redraft leagues. I don't get it.
Yeah, and he's on a long contract. He was one of my favorite dynasty buys of the preseason, and hopefully you got him while he was injured. Also, my last fact check. I don't know why I said under 2 yards a carry for under 3 yards a carry. But still bad. All right. It is Woody Marks season, so we're gonna head out, watch some Texans football. But we will see you all next week.